welcome to another episode of Uno Talks, where you can meet the face behind the name. I'm your host, Roselin Sosa, better known as Rose. And today we have a very, very special guest. He's going to join us and share his expertise in time management. Please welcome Alexis Morel. He's one of our production managers and a recently published author. His book, My Journey to Becoming a Confident Stock Market Investor, it's currently available on Amazon, so you could definitely check it out. And thank you so much for being here with us today, Alexis.
You're welcome. All right. I've been working for Uno for around 12 years, and I was promoted to a manager about 2.5 years, which is exactly when COVID started. So it was something interesting because first of all, it was a really demanding position for me. And my boss, which was Jose Esteves, he was the greatest. He was a hard guy to replace. So in addition to that, it was pretty much working from home. So it's different when you have everybody on the floor. You can just stand up and talk to Rose. I can ask for help immediately. But then if you're working from home, it's a completely different beast. So at first, what I had to do is pretty much organize myself in a way that I will not go crazy.
I say that I love that definition because I think that we can all relate to that during COVID. We can all relate to that. And I feel like the relationship that we had with time definitely changed in COVID. So, in regards to that organization that you had to do, talk to us about that basics of time management.
Well, the first is that I had to learn, and at the same time, I had to help others because there was other positions that were open, like my position as an assistant manager. So besides me learning and then also taking control of the campaign, I also had to help other people learn their new position while working from home for the first time. So after I learned, which took me a few months and a lot of patience, what I had to do is on a board, on a little whiteboard that I had to purchase, I had to pretty much put everything that I had to do on a daily basis, so that as soon as I woke up, I would look at the board and I'll be doing everything from the board. So that way I'll take that off my mind and I just follow the board. So let's say that I had to send the hours on Mondays before 1, I will put send hours on Monday. So it got to a point where the little board did not fit anything else. So I pretty much moved everything to my phone. And it's a little bit funny because if you look at my notes, if you go like this, you're going to find a few notes. So now my phone, every time my phone goes ding, I have to look at it because I know something needs to be done. So after I was able to organize myself, I started to feel some relief, and my anxiety went down because sometimes I will be maybe doing something. Let's say I will go to bed and I was trying to go to sleep and I will remember, oh my God, the report. So it's different when you're working at the office because you're working there and as soon as you go out, you log out. But when you're working from home, there's no logging out.
No.
You work from the first email that is sent to the last chat that is taken. And everybody knows that you're at home and you're supposed to be at home. So everybody's just like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm having dinner, but what happened?
Yeah, because that's the life. Like, I'm having dinner, but what happened? So it comes to the point where it's a little hard for you to place boundaries between, a healthy work-life boundary. And I think that's a challenge that we were all able to experience during COVID. I really like the fact that you mentioned that whenever you were able to put everything in a whiteboard and you put it in a way that you could see it directly, that help your anxiety. Because I feel like sometimes a big challenge that we have with time management is that not only we don't have any clarity on all the things that we need to accomplish, but we're also trying to procrastinate because we feel like it's a lot more than what it actually is.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit more about, you mentioned that it helped with your anxiety. So what was that process of you, okay, I'm in control with my time. My anxiety is getting better. How can I teach other people?
First thing is that once you organize everything in a way that you no longer have to think about it, that's what really helped me. And I know that everybody's different. Everybody works differently. My ex-boss used to work differently than me, but this is my way. This is the way that I was able to achieve every goal and be stable and not go crazy, because there's so many things that if you ask me as a manager, there's so many things that I cannot even think of that happen on a daily basis that I wouldn't be able to put it on a piece of paper, you see? So you have to know what needs to be done on a daily basis, but then you have the extra stuff that happen, like the email
Mm-hmm.
that I received this morning that we were laughing about.
Yes.
So once you have everything that you know that needs to be done and you do that, then you can forget about that. And then you can deal
Mm-hmm.
with the daily tasks that you get every day.
Exactly, because you have those things that they need to be done day by day. Those are, kind of like the routine of
Mm-hmm.
the work. And then you have everything else that comes into the plate, which
Yeah.
is the extra added to your day by day.
Mm-hmm.
And I am really very much resonating with when you say like this is my way and this is what works for me, because I feel like sometimes we try to kind of
Emulate.
exactly. We try to emulate, we try to fit how other people maybe manage their time, and maybe that just doesn't work for us because we're different type of people. So I really like that you mentioned that. Everybody has to find the best way for you to manage your time and what works for you.
So something else that I started to do is, let's say that I'm really good with talking to people, but when it comes to presentations or PowerPoints, maybe understand that you have more skills setting everything up, giving it color, giving it the right fonts and everything. So something else that I started to do is I started to delegate certain tasks that I know that somebody else was more capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Kelvin. Kelvin is the best. He's the greatest with Excel. You give him a story, he finds a way to put it in numbers. And then he finds a way to do it automatically. And then he sends you three different files. So anything that has to do with like Excel, he's the best. So I will do a report and I will call him and be like, hey Kelvin, look at this. And I will start doing the report and he will laugh. And he'll be like, didn't you know you could do this? And I'll be like, oh my God.
Like, and
I've been doing this for 4 years.
I spent all this time.
Spending 2 hours and you can do that in 15 minutes. So that's something else that helped me manage my time, where I started to delegate certain tasks that were not really, really important for the campaign, but that I trusted somebody else to do it better than me. But I always give credit to where credit is due. So if you do something and you help me, I'm going to tell the clients and I'm going to tell the director, hey, this was great, but Fulanito helped me.
And I actually think that's a very good skill that you have as a manager, because you are able to find people, the right people for the right job. And not only it helps you better manage your time, but it also helps you develop that person. So
And
that
give better
it's
results.
yeah, that's that a great managing technique for our listeners at home, right? Maybe not in a work context, but maybe, you have a friend, you have somebody at home, and there's chores that need to be done. And if there's somebody that enjoys the chore and maybe it's faster than you doing it, I know how to do it. I could do it. It just takes me a little bit more time. So how can I leverage my time more efficiently, and maybe the things that I don't need to complete myself, I can delegate. But so that is great for you. Besides putting everything and make it very clear, what was the moment that it clicked for you that time management is life management?
I After a year that COVID started, I was already a full time manager.
Mhm.
I was having a hard time separating my work life from my personal life because I was at that little office for 12 hours a day. So usually I was supposed to be working from 9 to 6 and then that's it. I would swipe out,
Mm-hmm.
get in my car and go home. Well, now I was up from 9 to 9 and I was at my house. Everybody knows that I'm at my house. So it got to a point where I was pretty much pushing everything to be done later on the day because, after 6, it's easier. There's less calls, there's less chats. And then I realized that I was using my personal time for work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was mixing up both, which is not good. And instead of maybe sending something that was supposed to be sent at 1 p.m., I was postponing it for the night or
Mm-hmm.
maybe for tomorrow because tomorrow is gonna be Friday, is gonna be less busy. So I had to find a way to do that because I was, as everybody else, I was finding other things to do. I was a lot of time by myself, so I wanted to learn things. And that's one of the things I learned how to cook.
Me
And
too. Me too.
fist bump.
I make a killer tomato sauce that I didn't know how to do. I definitely did.
I'm a lasagna guy, so that's good. So it got to a point where I wanted to do other things. I wanted to go out after 6, and I couldn't do it because I was leaving things for the afternoon. So even during the weekends, I would still do work stuff, and I would talk to Luz and be like, "Hey, Luz," and Luz would be like, "Mm-mm,
Procrastination
let's
at
talk
its
on Monday,"
best.
because she was already organized and she
Yes.
knew how to log out. At 6, she would just log out, but she would do everything. But then I'll be like, "Oh, I'm missing this. Oh, I have to finish the presentation at 11 p.m." And that's where I went, well, I have to do something about it. I have to organize myself. So now it's not that I log out at 6 because I still have to work, but I don't have anything that needed to be done before 6 pending. If something arises, then I will go ahead and do that, or I will talk to Kelvin or anybody else. But it's a lot, the feeling is better when you know that at 6, everything that needed to be done is completed.
Definitely. And I have to say that one of the things that I really love about Uno is the fact that here we're very much forward that work and life balance, right? And I feel like nobody's expecting you to be working every day all the time here. We're very much for that work life balance. And the fact that you kind of had to hit yourself with that wall and be like, hey, in order for me to be more productive, I need to be well rested. I need to be able to enjoy my time outside of work in order for me to be able to, because you can't pour from an empty cup,
Yeah.
right? So now we are up to the point that, okay, I organize myself, I manage my time. How did you teach your team how to be better with time management?
At first, it was complicated because let's say that I send you a message and you don't reply, but and I needed an answer in maybe 2 minutes. I will feel like I had to call you, but then maybe calling you was something that was taken up from your personal space because I didn't know if you were having breakfast or something like that. So I started to look at that as if your results are good, then I don't have to be following up on you. If you're giving up good numbers, if your team is doing good, if quality is good, lateness is good, early leads are good, and pretty much your team has good everything, then you are a green flag. I might not have to be supervising you or micromanaging you because I don't feel like your team is doing bad. But then if you were falling behind and I noticed that whenever I talk to you or whenever I need something from you, you're taking a long time to reply, then I will question myself, hey, is it because that person is too busy or is it because that person is taking advantage of working from home? So if you do it based on results, and I feel that the same applies for me. If I'm giving results, then you don't have to push me because here are the results. But if everything is falling apart,
Then
and then
definitely.
exactly, and then my director doesn't know where I am, and whenever he talks to me, I take an hour to reply, then that's a red flag.
That's a
So as soon as I started treating everybody else like I like to be treated, I realized if your team is doing good and I can see the numbers on a daily basis, then you're doing good. But if your number speaks otherwise, then that's when I have to follow up. That's when I have to talk to you and find out what's happening. Is it something that I can do? Is it something that you need to do? And sometimes you think what the situation of the other person is, and then when you speak to them, then they tell you, and you're like, oh,
so
that makes
that's
sense,
what happens.
or
That's what
that doesn't
happens.
make sense at all.
Exactly. No, I really like it. That's a very not only it's kind of like I have this approach with you. I am trying to be empathetic. I want to be here. I want to listen to you, but at the same time, this is a job we need to make sure that our results are able to speak for ourselves. So you're able to, because you still, as a manager, right, we still follow up, we check in with them from time to time, but if it's a green flag, as you mentioned, it's somebody that we know that it's we can trust that person to go ahead and do their job and just normal follow up versus maybe the micromanaging part.
As a matter of fact, sometimes you can see when somebody else is working harder than what they should. So even when that happens, you have to realize, hey, let me see if there's something that I can do because that person is working extra or doing overtime and not getting compensated for it. But then that at the same time you have to be honest and you have to be human and be like, hey, why is this happening? Is it
Mm-hmm.
because you have too many things to do? Should we
Mm-hmm.
distribute the load correctly or
What
find a
exactly?
solution for it?
Let's find a solution. Like what
Hmm.
it's going on. And now we like you have your team organized. They know how you work. They know that how they can better manage themselves. And then we got to the point from beginning of COVID to up until now, we get to the point in which now you wrote a book. You were able to manage your time so well that you wrote a book. Talk to me about that journey.
Well, right now the team it's pretty much on automatic. Everybody knows what they need to do. You
Mm-hmm.
know exactly at what time Laura is gonna send the first email. You know what time Jean Jacques is gonna send the lateness or the early leaves. So everybody's on automatic, and in a way, it gets to a point where you only have to step in where there's something going wrong because everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, and then I get time to speak to the client and deal with escalations, special requests. But without that organization, then I wouldn't be able to do not the book, but I wouldn't be able to do anything
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes when I first started, I was doing a lot of things, and my ex boss used to be like that too. That he pretty much everything will go through him, and then that's where your time it's no existent.
Mm-hmm.
So once you get the team to pretty much work on automatic, then you have more time to look at other things that usually you don't look at. And then it gets to a point where, hey, it's 6 p.m. I'm still going to be checking my email. I'm still going to be checking Teams. But now I can go out. I can go to the gym. I can visit my mom. I can spend some time to learn. And that's when I decided that it was good enough for me to start learning about the stock market. And it's funny because at first I couldn't do anything else because, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be good enough for this position. This is too many things to do at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. After everybody started to work on automatic, everybody knew what they had to do. I was able to find time for myself, and I spent a lot of time, and I spent some money also learning because there was a lot of academies and people
Mm-hmm.
that wanted to teach you, and I spent some money paying people to teach me and all of that, and then I realized this is not working out. They just want money, so I'm gonna learn myself. So that's when I started, reading books. I started
Mm-hmm.
seeing YouTube channels, following people, reading about the history of it. And I was able to do that after my job schedule and over the weekends. And it got to a point where I spent maybe a year and a half learning about it. And I started myself investing. I was like, hey, so I guess I know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I open up an account in a web page that they will grade yourself
Mm-hmm.
for. Thank you. So if you were doing good, they will give you like a score.
Mm-hmm.
So after maybe 2 years in that web page, I closed all of my operations, and I won the prize for the best trader
Mm-hmm.
in Santo Domingo for that week, and that's pretty much the proof that I have that I learned. Like I'm not gonna tell you I know. I can show you.
Exactly.
This is what I did. And then maybe about 6 months ago, I realized that the knowledge that I had, if we were to sit down, I can pretty much teach you most of it in 4 to 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, if I can teach people in 4 to 5 hours what I learned in a year and a half, then maybe I should write a book. And writing a book, it sounds complicated, but with YouTube and with Fiverr and with other people that have done that, it's pretty much effortless. Anything that you can learn, anything that you want to learn, you can learn. It's just that it takes passion, it takes dedication
Mm-hmm.
to learn something, but you have to really like that, which I really like that too. So I just sat down and I would write maybe one or two pages on a day. Then I would spend 2 weeks without doing anything. And then I will see a video or I will speak to anybody else and they will give me an idea,
Mm-hmm.
which they didn't even realize. So I will go back and write, hey, and this is what I should do. So what I did is I pretty much wrote an index of what I believe I needed to teach people, and I would develop everyone on a weekly basis. Maybe I'll spend 3 days on a week, and then not a day for 2 more weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to complete it, in less than maybe 3 months. And it's not even a long book. It's about 70 pages. But if you read it, you're going to know pretty much almost everything that I know about it. And the way that I think, because
Hmm.
as always, everybody thinks differently about a subject. So that's the way that I think.
Hmm.
And it helped me and it's working for me.
Great. So, Alexis, thank you so much for this conversation that you had with us, for, talking to us about your time management and about the process for you to write your book. I find that very fascinating, right? That journey from the beginning of the pandemic where you were feeling so overwhelmed with a brand new position,
Oh,
with
yes.
different responsibilities, and now seeing you so confident, you wrote a book and you're,
I have hair now.
exactly. So that is a big plus. So, it's definitely been a pleasure talking to you and catching up. And thank you so much for joining us today in our Uno Talks.
You're welcome. Thank you for the chance too. Appreciate it.